this week's podcast. I am delighted to have the lovely Lisa McCabe from the Dog Witch back on the podcast. I can't remember, was it a year?
Oh, it was a while ago.
2 years ago that you were last year. So we're going to be talking all things dogs and holistic care for dogs, because that is what Lisa specialises in. Lisa basically does the equivalent to what I do for dogs. I work with humans. She works with the pet.
I get the good bit.
You get the good bit. So Lisa, how long have you been doing this?
So in its current guise, I've been doing it for about a year. The Dog Witch became live in about November 2023, I think, so just over a year.
Yeah.
But before that, I had been doing some holistic dog care just under a different business name, and I've been working with dogs professionally since 2009. I'd been doing like dog walking, dog behaviour, all that kind of stuff, but my passion always lay in the holistic care. And obviously when the pandemic came round and nobody needed a dog walker, it was my perfect excuse to learn everything that I needed to learn to actually create it into the business. But I struggled to see how it would fit into a business and how I could make it into a business. So with a lot of help from people like yourself and other girls that we know, the Dog Witch was born, and it just feels like it was what I was born to do.
Yeah, that's lovely. So on the holistic, like when you say holistic care for dogs, what does that look like?
So it's everything from nutrition right the way through to environment and sleep and stuff. But the main sort of things that I encourage dog owners to do, apart from feeding their dog really good food, is to do massage. Massage is so beneficial for dogs. Humans, how beneficial it is. It's just exactly the same for dogs. It can really help them to live a long and happy, healthy life.
Yeah.
So I really encourage like dog massage. I encourage things like sound healing, energy healing, getting out and about in nature. Obviously everything's connected, the mind, the body and the spirit. So if we go on really good walks with our dogs, so part of it is like my dog days out. Zach and I, my dog, will live our best life, go out and we have amazing days out, and then I document them for other dog owners so that they can go out and have great days out. And that's important as well, to feed and stimulate your dog's mental.
Different environments rather than always being the same walk every day.
Because if you go around the same park every day, it just becomes kind of commonplace. Yes, smells are going to be different because obviously the weather changes. But giving your dog, a variety of different experiences helps to feed and stimulate their mind, and that in turn helps their vitality in the long run.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what essentially holistic care looks like for dogs.
Yeah. I'm just thinking like the human nervous system loves variety and variation.
Yeah.
It loves different stimulation, so it makes sense that would be the same for the dog.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's exactly the same for dogs, and that's where nutrition is so important for dogs as well, because they do need all the different nutrients getting into their bodies. But if you're feeding your dog a processed food, the same thing, or from a bag, like the same thing every single day. I mean, if we were eating the same thing every single day, we'd be like, oh, not this again.
Yeah.
And the dogs are exactly the same. So
let's talk about that a wee bit then, because a lot of the bags of dog, of any pet food, whether it's cans or whether it's the bags of dry food, they say that it's a complete nutrition profile.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it has the things in it that dogs need. They've got stuff to help with their bone health. They've got the protein in there. They've sometimes got questionable fruits and veggies and things like that. But it's all the other stuff that goes into it to make it last longer.
Yeah.
And obviously they're producing this en masse. So there's not so nice things. There's chemicals in there. There's maybe bits of gristle and bone from the animals.
The same that was exposed in human food. Like I remember when I was wee Willy Winky sausages and Bernard Matthew turkey burgers were exposed for having sawdust and stuff like that in them.
I mean, dog food is a lot better now. People sometimes, and it's a bit banging to talk about, but people sometimes say as well, why do you never see white dog poo anymore? And that was like, the reason for that was because dog food was full of ash. It was full of like, see the ash from the coal.
Yeah.
It was full of that as a bulking agent to bulk that out. So that's now obviously been hammered down. You don't get as much of that anymore, but you do get other things like bulking agents in that maybe dogs shouldn't be eating, but because most of them do tend to have quite strong stomachs, it's okay for them. But you just wonder in the long term what that's doing to their wee bodies.
But dogs do get the same diseases as humans. Like, I'm just thinking inflammatory bowel disease. Or my mum and dad's last dog, the vet at the end said, oh, he could have had inflammatory bowel disease. And I was like, I've got that. How can a dog get that? What?
Yeah, and a lot of this is that's why I talk about like the massage and using essential oils and making sure that you're getting, like, for example, getting sweet potatoes in. You know yourself, they're really good for reducing inflammation within the body. But maybe dog owners wouldn't think to give their dog a sweet potato. They wouldn't maybe think to give their dog some carrots, but these things all help.
Yeah, they need fibre too. Because they've got a microbiome the same as we've got a microbiome. It's just a different one.
So it just helps to reduce all of that. And I'm working with a couple of dogs just now who've got some issues like cancer and things like that, and that's all about reducing the inflammation within the body. If we can get the inflammation in the body down, then we can reduce the symptoms of cancer. Like turmeric that can be turned into like golden paste along with adding in MCT or coconut oil is fabulous for dogs. Like that works absolute wonders. It helps to really reduce the inflammation. It has cancer fighting properties in it. Stuff like that can really, really help, and it's natural and widely available and costs pennies. But dog owners don't necessarily know about that.
Yeah, they might know about it for themselves. Taking these things, but you don't know everything that a human consumes.
Well, that's it. You wouldn't naturally think, oh, I could give that to my dog. And that's, I suppose, where part of this process came from for me, because I was trying all the woo-woo, I suppose, on myself, and I did think, I wonder if this would work for the dog. And I had an older boy who lived on his nerves. He was a rescue dog. He lived on his nerves. He came to us very broken, and that's why I kind of started learning about dog behaviour and animal psychology and things like that, just really to understand him. And I did kind of think, I wonder if I gave him that, if it would chill him out, that kind of thing, like giving him a wee massage, using lavender oil on him, using a bit of frankincense, all of these things. It literally just came from, I wondered if I could do that. And I did some research just to make sure what I was using was going to be safe for him. And then I did go on to do my aromatherapy qualification so that I could learn. But then that delved deeper into the food and what's the food that I'm feeding him, doing to his body, how could that be better? And my dogs eat like kings. They really do. They get sometimes, like my dad has looked and went, that dog gets fed better than I do, that kind of thing. So it all came out of just this curiosity, and then I went and did like my animal herbalism qualifications as well, just so that I knew exactly what I could and couldn't feed them. And now I'm so passionate about it that I just want to scream it from the rooftops and tell every dog owner, this is what you should be doing for your dog, because it's amazing.
So our mutual friend Laura, who's from the Glasgow Girls Club, Laura's been on the podcast a couple of times. So her wee dog she's quite old now. She's got wee Haggis is not. I think Haggis has actually been on the podcast as well, if I remember correctly. She was barking in the background. She's like got a wee tumour. And you've been helping.
So Laura had contacted me about haggis and just said that this was the possible diagnosis. Haggis, as you said, is quite old, so we're not 100% sure that she has a tumour, but this is what the vet thinks. And it has obviously led into other issues like some incontinence within the house and things like that. So she's getting on a wee bit.
She's got arthritis as well, hasn't she?
Her mobility's a bit poor too. So what I did was I did a kind of big sort of one-to-one session. It's called the Complete Dog Transformation, where owners get the positive spell of change for their dogs, and we cover the 6 pillars of your dog's life. So that's everything going like that, right through from nutrition right down to the environment, sleep, you name it, we cover it.
Sounds like lifestyle medicine for humans.
Exactly.
They've got 6 pillars as well.
Exactly, and again, that's just something that transfers over to the dogs. So I worked with Laura and I discussed like everything that she could tell me about haggis. And then I went off and I did a bit of research, and most of it kind of comes naturally now. Like I'm like, oh yeah, we could do this, we could do that. So haggis is taking the golden paste every day in our food. Laura has started adding in some cancer friendly foods and some vitality boosting foods into Haggis's meals. And she's also started doing things like, you know, taking her out in a wee doggy buggy because she wasn't able to walk very far, so she wasn't really getting out the house very much. So she's doing things just to stimulate her mood as well. And I was speaking to her yesterday and she actually had me in tears, just saying that she's doing okay. You know, she's certainly feeling a bit better since we've started adding these things in. And it's not like a process where you just go, right, okay, one day you're feeding this, so you just stop right away and you give the dog all the new stuff, because you can't do it like that. You know, if we were doing that, it would have to be a gradual process. But just small additional things added into the diet, just different wee tweaks here and there. And obviously they're doing the massage as well, whereas Haggis is living like a queen. She's just lying down, massage my paws. You know, she's loving life. And that's how it should be for our dogs. You know, they should be
part of your family.
Totally. And that's, you know, we don't think anything of going for a massage for ourselves to reduce stress and anxiety, or if we're feeling a bit achy and sore, we don't think anything of, oh right, okay, I'll go and do a massage, or I'll go and get a massage. So it's like, why wouldn't we do that for our dogs? Because their bodies experience the same things as well.
And they're very active.
Yeah, but that's it. I mean, there's lots of working dogs who spend their lives on farms or, you know, like doing different jobs, and their bodies need to recover from that as well. So a wee massage, you know, could ease the tension within their bodies and just really help them to recover from
keeps
that.
Them vital for longer.
Well, that's it. Yeah, exactly. So it's just all about protecting the vitality of your dog.
I saw Laura had shared about the massage on her social media and about the supplements and stuff like that Haggis was getting. Haggis was wolfing them down, and you're like, oh yeah, she's she's happy.
Yeah, no, like, she is. She's doing
all right, and that's what it's the same for a human. You want a human to stay as vital for as long as possible, so that the end is not suffering and pain. We all want that for ourselves, so why would we not want that for our dogs?
100%.
Or cats, or whichever pet you've got.
It's like, I was out last week, another mutual friend that we've got, Kelly and I had gone for, Kelly who's Club Synergy, we had gone on, I suppose, a net walk. You know, you disguise being able to go out and do these really cool things as work. But we went for a hill walk, and this, you know, it wasn't like a tough hill walk, it was just like a little one, but on the way up it was quite steep and we stopped a couple of times to catch our breath. And on the way back down we met an old lady who must have been easily in her 70s running up it, and I swear to goodness she was running up it. And I just looked at Kelly and I went, I want to be like that when I grow up. That's what I want to be. I want to be the gran who's running about after grandchildren and who's still been able to bounce up hills at the weekend and stuff.
I mean, one of my clients is in her 70s and she goes hill walking, she goes skiing when she can. Like, she does have aches and pains in her body, but she comes to Pilates twice a week and comes for massage once a month because she's like, I don't want to lose what I've got. Yeah,
100%. It's so important just to look after our bodies.
Yeah.
You know, like I've got family members who are still relatively young, like, you know, like in their late 50s and early 60s, and they're finding like their mobility is really bad and they're struggling, they're having to walk with sticks and things, and you just think, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like that. I want to be fit and healthy for as long as possible. And I think when you flip that, I mean, dogs don't live very long as it is. So if you can get, I mean, Ziggy and Zane, my old boys, lived to 17 and 15, which is good age for dogs.
And both of them were unweight, like they both had diagnoses, hadn't they?
Ziggy had actually 4 years before he passed, he had older dog vestibular disease, which presents itself very similar to a stroke. And again, one of the major reasons why I decided to start adding all the holistic stuff into my business, because we took him to the vet and they said that the first 48 hours was really crucial, and within the first 24 he wasn't showing any signs of responding at all. But I knew why he wasn't showing any signs of responding, because he was a big mama's boy and he was being kept in the hospital at the vet, and he was raging. He didn't want to be there. He wanted to be at home. He didn't want to be in a kennel. He didn't want to eat the crap food that they were offering him. He wanted to be with me and at home. And in that kind of first 24 hours, they were saying to us, we should really think about euthanasia and letting him go. And at that point, he was only 13, and I'm going, absolutely not. Yeah. So I said to the practice manager, who was well versed in what I did for a living, I'm going to take him home and try my woo-woo. And honestly, without a word of a lie, within the next 24 hours, he was a different dog. He was back up on his paws, walking again. He was taking himself out for a wee. He was barking at the doorbell. He was eating his food.
Yeah.
And then Zane was diagnosed with cancer. He had a massive tumour within his ear. But because of his age, they didn't want to put him through the operation. They said for a young dog, it would have been a massive operation.
Yeah.
But for him, they just didn't want to take the chance that he would pass away on the operating table.
Yeah.
So they'd said to us that palliative care, what they meant was they would give us Metacam to manage his pain, and that was kind of it. That was what we were sent away with. Just come back if you feel that he's struggling. But the prognosis wasn't great for Zane. They'd said, a few weeks, couple of months at most. We got 18 really good quality months with him.
Yeah.
He did so well. I just researched the heck out of what was happening to his body. And I made sure that he got all the nutrients that he needed. I made sure that if he could get out and walk about, that we would do that. Sometimes it was even just driving about in the car, opening the window and letting him bark at cows. Sometimes it was just things like that fed his soul, or like lying on the sofa, snuggled up, watching the TV with the wee ones and things. We just let him lead us.
Yeah.
And when it got to the point where his wee body had had enough, that was when we decided...
Mm-hmm.
That it was time, we let him go with a bit of dignity. And it was the same for Ziggy. We got 4 more years with Ziggy, and he literally passed old age. I mean, they can't live forever.
Yeah.
As much as we would love them to, they can't live forever. And I'd always said if I'd got Ziggy to his 16th birthday, I would be amazed. But we got him almost to his 17th. He died 2 months before he was 17.
Yeah.
And Zane was the same. He was almost 15. It was couple of months before his 15th birthday, he passed as well. And those years just went like that. So the dogs don't live long enough, and we can't believe that they were that age when they passed, because we still always called them our pups. They were still our babies. And they, in our minds anyway, they never got any older. They were just always them. And then we had added the whirlwind that is Zach into the mix before Ziggy passed. And that's the other thing, like you say that, some people go on about like dogs not being, dogs being a bit stupid and not really picking up on things, but they are so clever, because I reckon that Ziggy knew that he was going, and he taught Zach everything that he needed to know to be able to look after me before he went, because he's very... And I think Zane passed. I mean, we always say Zane didn't have any wisdom to pass on, but he really did. Because there's things that Zach does that we go, hang on a wee minute, Ziggy did that, or Zane did that. And it's just very, very like them.
Yeah, kind of learned behaviour.
That they've instilled, this is how you need to look after her when we're not here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's... Sorry, I've gone off on a tangent.
No, that's all right. Because it's just making me think about when I wasn't well a couple of years ago, and my wee brother's dog, she came right up and sat on top of me, and I was like, Wonder Man, you're too heavy. I'm in agony here. But she was just like, take my love, there's something not right here. And Bradley would kind of sit and look and be like, there's something not right here, but he would just sit at my feet rather than coming up. And I wasn't well sort of towards the start of the year, but he would come up and like cuddle right in, like he had seen what Wanda had done, and he was like, oh, she needs a cuddle, and he would come up and like cuddle into me.
Amazing.
You're just
they're
like
so intuitive. They just know.
They understand empathy.
They really do. I mean, we always say like Zach's is one for the kids here, but Zach's like Tim Nice but dim, from the Hannah Enfield character.
Yes.
And it's like the lights are on but nobody's home, but he is very intuitive at times. He is very clever, and he's really good with the kids as well. Brilliant alarm clock, just open the door, he jumps on top of them. Right, it's time to get up. But they're fabulous.
Amazing. What is the difference between doing a massage for a dog and just patting him on the head or tickling his tummy?
What a massage is, so underneath human skin, we've got like the kind of fascia, like the kind of spider's web that runs, and that's exactly the same for dogs. So when we're doing a massage, we are manipulating that, we're moving that about, and what we're doing is we are being able to pinpoint. Our dogs' bodies are really, really intuitive. They take all the good stuff and all the energy that we give to them, and their bodies know exactly how to use it because they have no preconceived ideas, whereas we would maybe go, don't know about that. But dogs aren't like that. They're just like, yes, this feels amazing, let's go with it. So we can manipulate the dog's bodies when we're doing the gentle massaging. It's nothing like I've created it so that every owner can do it. My course is created. Obviously, there's more in-depth where you can do it for medical issues and things like that, but my course has been created so that the average everyday owner can do this at home with their dogs. But we are pinpointing the certain parts, within the dog's body so that we can get really into the nitty-gritty, into the good bits. We can relieve the tension, we can relieve the stress, and the dog's body then just naturally pushes that out. But if you're doing it with essential oils, then you're adding all the good stuff in there as well, because the essential oils are getting right into the bloodstream and they're doing all the goodness. So you're really healing the body from the inside out. Whereas if you're just kind of giving your dog a wee rub, you're not really doing anything. You're giving it your love, but that's all you're doing. You're sharing a lovely bonding moment, but you're not actually doing anything for the body. Whereas if you're doing massage, you're doing all the good stuff for the body. But not only are you doing it for the body, but you're doing it for the mind and the soul as well.
Yeah.
And you get all the benefits because the dog is going, oh, this is amazing, and I love you, and you're wonderful. So, but you're relieving stress and tension from your body because you're doing that to your dog, and you're also deepening the love and bonds that you share with your dog as well. So it's just an all-round amazing experience, and it doesn't take that long. Once you've mastered it, you can literally do it. Full disclosure, I watch Emmerdale, it's my guilty pleasure. So you could literally do it during the ad break of Emmerdale or any other favourite shows. There are other shows available. You could literally do it during the ad break for that, or like, when somebody's up boiling the kettle for a cup of tea or whatever, you could sit and give the dog a wee quick massage. Like the course is there, all the modules are there for you to learn, and everything is demonstrated on video as well. So it's just
easy to follow. Because I know when I do massage on clients, I feel relaxed after doing it as well, because you're in the moment. You're not thinking about whatever else is going on. You're just like, oh, is this the right pressure? Is their body responding to it? So you do switch off. So you're kind of like in a meditation yourself. So then you feel more relaxed after having done a treatment.
Yeah, totally. And that's how it should feel after you do it with your dog as well. And obviously they're loving it, so they're loving you right back. And it's just that lovely, sweet bonding moment with your dog. But I also teach owners how to ground themselves and how to prepare the space so that everything gets left outside the door, so that you can have this lovely kind of moment with your dog. But as I say, once you learn how to do it, you can do it within minutes, and you're not having to sit for an hour massaging your dog. I mean, your dog would probably love that, but the thing is, as well, as I go back to saying about the dog's bodies being intuitive, they will let you know if they've had enough. If they go, right,
they'll just get up and move on.
Yeah, had enough of that, thanks very much, I feel great now, I'll just go and sit at the other side of the couch or whatever. They are so intuitive that they'll let you know.
I'm just thinking as well, when you're saying about teaching the owners how to ground themselves before they go into it, because dogs really pick up on owners' energies. Like if you've got an anxious human, chances are you're going to have an anxious dog. And if you've got a calm and grounded human, your dog's going to pick up on that. And that doesn't mean that the dog will be like that all the time, because when they're with different people, they'll pick up on different people's energies.
They are, as I say, they're so intuitive, and they do like. As I was saying earlier, Zach and I encountered a horrible man in the park this morning that was shouting at him. And when Zach came back to me, he was all shaking and like, oh my God, what just happened to me, Mum? And I scooped him up and I calmed him down, and I was his safe space. And after that, I mean, he's fine, he's totally nonplussed by it. But he picked up on that energy of the man shouting and being aggressive and getting angry. And then it was just like, oh, I'm back with my mum, everything's okay. So they do pick up on the difference. So it's important that if you'd had a really crap day and you think, oh, I'll cuddle the dog on the sofa. Oh, in fact, I'll start going into a massage. If you've not left all of that,
Yeah.
then that could then go into your dog's body. And what you're doing, you could potentially be causing your dog to be unwell by doing that, because if you're passing on all your stress and anxiety into your dog's body, their body is taking that, you know, soaking all that up, and then yeah, they could go out and, you know, they could show aggression towards other dogs. They could try and catch birds where they've never chased a bird in their life, that kind of thing. You know, it could manifest into other things. So it's so important to be able to do it properly as well.
Something else I'm just thinking about around that is some people get pets to fulfill a need for them. Like,
Yeah.
I saw somebody talking about that there's a lot of women our sort of age that have never had children, so they get a dog to fulfill that need that they've not, or a cat or whatever, and that animal is then expected to fulfill that need. So they are coming to the relationship in a needy way. I want you to love me.
That's why I think modern day life for dogs is so hard. I mean, dogs are just, they're expected to basically behave like baby humans.
Yeah.
You know, we put clothes on them, we have parties for them, we take them to the pub, we take them on public transport. Dogs weren't designed to have that kind of life, so it's up to us to teach them how to manage those environments, how to manage those expectations. But like that, if you're expecting an animal to behave like a baby, it's never going to happen. So you have to manage your own behaviour, because sometimes the owners are the root cause of the issues that that happen within their dogs.
Yes. If you've got a baby, you can't expect that baby to fulfill your needs.
Yeah,
you have to fulfill its needs, and that would be the same. Like, you're the adult in the room.
Yeah, 100%.
And like, if your pet doesn't want picked up, stop picking it up.
Exactly. It'll tell you, you know.
And the behaviour of it.
Well, that's it. Yeah. Sometimes it can manifest into unwanted behaviours where there's a little nip or there's a bit of aggression, but it's like, listen to your dog. They are trying to tell you they don't want to wear a stupid hat and a coat, you know, because they're an animal. They don't want to have a birthday hat put on their head. You know, it's like,
Bradley will not go out with it. Like, my mum and dad got like a raincoat just for days when it's really heavy rain, and he just, tail goes down, head goes down, doesn't move. It's like, get this off me. And he will not.
Exactly. I mean, Zach is a Cocker Spaniel, and well, if I put a jacket on him, not only would it weigh him down because he jumps in every puddle, but he's just not designed to wear clothes. I mean, I'll put on like little micro fleece jumpers on the way home in the car, just literally to keep him warm and to try and dry him off a bit. But that's as much as he will tolerate. You know, I can't put anything else on him because he doesn't want it on. There are some dogs who like wearing jumpers and things because, like greyhounds, for example, they don't have a lot of fur, so they get cold quite a lot.
You always see the wee tiny like Shih Tzu dogs and Lipso.
Aspapsos. So
they're like wee fluffy things wearing.
So they're small and they don't have a lot of fur
and close to the cold ground.
So that's it. I mean, those dogs will definitely wear things like that, but like, you know, like the silly things like, you know, like dressing dogs up in tutus for parties and stuff like that. Poor dogs are just jumpers. Poor dogs are just like, what is going on? And that's our fault. We've done that to them. We've domesticated them to the point where we've gone in the opposite direction, where we expect them to behave like humans. And we have to always remember that they're animals at the end of the day. And that's why we have to understand that behaviour. If you're going to get a dog and add a dog to your family, then you have to be a responsible owner. You have to understand the breed that you're adding to your family. You have to understand their behaviour, and you have to understand your behaviour around that as well. Don't behave like a plank.
That's a very diplomatic way of saying that, Lisa. Lockdown dogs.
Oh, honestly.
Like, you were saying earlier about you had contacted the RSPCA about something, and they were like, can't take any animals, or slammed. Dogs Trust absolutely slammed. Because people got dogs in lockdown because they were home all the time. And
that's it. It's like dogs are a huge, I mean, they're like a 15, 20-year commitment. It is like adding another person to your family, and you are responsible for that. And if you have a lifestyle that doesn't support that, then you really shouldn't have a dog. And yeah, I mean, lots of dogs have been returned to shelters and things following lockdown, but you're also finding as well that lots of dogs have developed behavioural issues following lockdown because they've not been able to socialise, they've not been able to get out properly, they don't know how to play, they've been stuck in houses with silly humans that don't understand how they work. So yeah, there's been a lot of anxious and nervous dogs coming out of lockdown because they've all of a sudden been brought out into this big bad world, and they're going, what is this? You know, some dogs have maybe never been in a car before, they've maybe never seen a bus, they've never heard other dogs bark, they've never heard like shouting, things like that. All things that if you were being a responsible puppy owner at the time, you would have been able to, you know, really expose your dogs to, but we weren't able to do that. So after lockdown and stuff, you are experiencing a lot of issues with dogs, and a lot of what I do can get to the bottom of that. You know, a lot of like massage and things like that can help with behaviour issues. We can help you understand the issues that are going on with your dog, and we can make a plan to kind of get to the bottom of it and to get you a happy, healthy, well-rounded dog at the end of it.
Yeah, and it gives you that freedom back as the owner, because Bradley, when he was a puppy, my mum and dad got him before COVID, and when he was a puppy, they wanted to go on holiday. He went away to a home from home, and it was fine. They could go out and leave him in the house, and he was totally fine. And then lockdown happened. They were there 24 hours a day with him, and still went out for big walks and stuff like that, and socialised with other dogs. But then in the early days after that, when we were allowed to get out, he would sit at the gate and wait for my dad to come home, or he would be at the window. And he's much better now. Like he's kind of fallen back into
the routine. But
everything would be okay. But then my mum and dad still won't go abroad on holiday because they are worried that he won't be okay if he gets left with somebody else for that time. But that's on them rather than on Bradley. And the only way you're going to know is if you try it.
I know, that's it. And there's been a lot of that, you know, a lot of anxious and worried dogs that, I mean, people have worked from home, they were there 24/7, then they've had to start going back into the office, and it's kind of like, I can't leave my dog in the house. And sometimes dogs have been surrendered to shelters because the people aren't willing to do the work. And it's not the dog's fault because the dog didn't ask to be placed in that situation. It's your fault. So what I always say to people is think about your life, think about your lifestyle before adding a dog into the family. And if you can't provide the commitment that the dog needs, then don't have one.
Yeah.
You know, they might be a nice, cute little puppy, but they're going to grow into a big dog. And, you know, these are the characteristics of these bigger dogs. Can you handle that? Can your lifestyle support that?
And can you also handle the first 18 months of them being a puppy? Because they will wreck your clothes, they will wreck your house.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I had never had a puppy before until we got Zach. And I thought, I've had 2 kids. I mean, how hard can it be? Oh my word.
Much harder.
Yeah, like I just never experienced, and obviously I've worked with dogs for a long, long time. So yeah, like
Is he a Springer?
He's a Cocker Spaniel.
Cocker,
so it was just like, what is this devil we've brought into the house? My husband was honestly ready for moving out. He's just like, I'll come back when he's 5. You know, it's just like, what is this? Like, it's having a puppy. I mean, they're cute and they're gorgeous and they provide so much joy. But yeah, that first year is just like, wow, what is this? But it was also a lot of fun and a lot of learning about him and him learning about us, and you know, and he's a cracking wee thing, and he's got a great nature, and he's really good with the kids, and he's so well behaved, and that's what we were saying. Our life has totally opened up with Zach because Zane, with his issues, we couldn't like go to a coffee shop with him. We couldn't really approach other dogs with him. He was just Zane, and we loved him, and we learned how to live life with him. But now we can pretty much go anywhere. I mean, we went on holiday last year and we went through to Liverpool for a day. We took Zach on the train. he was in a taxi, he was in a pub, he was in a restaurant, we went on a boat along the Mersey, you know, it was just, and we're kind of going, and there wasn't any of that anxiety of going, oh, we need to get back for the dog and make sure the dog's okay. I kept saying, oh, but the dog's with us. You know, it was just,
we could enjoy the whole day.
Yeah, there was none of that, like, kind of, you know, having to plan around being back for the dogs because he was with us. But we were very conscious that that was the kind of life that we wanted to have with him when he was a puppy. So we exposed him to absolutely everything that we could when he was tiny, so that we knew that he was going to be a well-rounded pupper that would just enjoy life. I mean, we're out quite a lot, we're quite active, you know, we do a lot of hill walking and a lot of just walks and runs and things like that, and he just comes along. I mean, whereas Ziggy and Zane were excellent canicross partners, that's where you run with your dog as a partnership, and they've got a harness on and you've got a harness on and you're connected and you run together. They were amazing at that. Zach is rubbish, like absolutely rubbish. If I'm running with Zach, I have to let him free run, otherwise I'll end up in the canal. He's just typical Cocker Spaniel. He's zigzagging out, whereas both of them had kind of greyhound in them. So they were straightforward, driven, eyes on the prize. You know, sometimes I don't think my feet even touched the ground when I was running with them, but with Zach, that's been very different. I've had to learn how to manage that differently with him. But it's all good fun, you know, nobody misses out, and it's great.
That's good.
Really, really good.
And it's so exciting that you have the opportunity to help other
people, I mean, that's it.
Dogs that are struggling.
I just want to get out to other dog owners that, I mean, a lot of the time, the first port of call tends to be, does anybody know where I can rehome my dog? And it's like, because, you know, well, for an example, I seen on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, this woman was talking about how she was distraught and she was having to look at rehoming her dog because they took the dog to her sister's house and she and the dog were playing with the ball, but her niece then came in and took the dog's ball and wanted to throw it for the dog, and the dog growled at the niece. Now, the dog had never met the niece before, the dog had never been in this house before, and the wee girl took something that belonged to the dog. Now, if you're sitting with your favourite thing in the world and somebody comes and takes it off you, naturally you're going to go, oh, what are you on about? That's exactly what the dog did.
Yeah.
The dog, and the only way that dogs can do that is give a little growl, or
that's how they would communicate with each other.
Or give a little nip or whatever. But that woman's first port of call was, I need to rehome my dog. It wasn't, how can I resolve this situation?
Yeah.
So I had kind of given her some advice and said, look, in future, what to do. This isn't the dog's fault in any manner of means at all, but in future, you know, have your niece sitting with you, play with the ball together, you show your niece what to do, let the dog see that everything's safe and that you're doing it together, and then gradually let that build up and you manage that situation. Again, it's our responsibility as the humans to manage the situation for the dog and to manage the situation for the children. You can't just place dogs into that situation and expect them to know how to behave.
And the same expecting our kids to know how to behave.
Yeah, that's it. We have to teach everybody how to do it so that they can be safe. So if I can reach out to dog owners and teach them about how nutrition affects behaviour, how behaviour affects, you know, family life, how doing massage can keep your dog calm and anxiety free, you know, that can reduce vet visits, that can reduce costs, vet bills, all of that sort of thing. If I can teach dog owners how to do all of that for themselves, then I'll die a happy lady.
Because you're helping create a really lovely bond in the household and also saving money.
Yeah, 100%.
And giving owners some freedom back.
That's why I always say it's about empowerment. It's about empowering you to be able to make those decisions on behalf of your dog. But not only doing that, it will save you a ton of money.
Yeah.
But it will help you to be able to live the life that you want with your dog. And I just think that if we can get as many happy, healthy and relaxed dogs as possible, then we can save all these wee souls getting dropped off at shelters.
Yeah.
And I don't for a second think that that's an easy decision for owners to do either, because
Yeah.
years down the line they'll probably wonder, oh, what happened to that wee dog, and they'll probably feel that guilt. Whereas if we can show them how to live a life that's meaningful and fulfilled for everybody,
Yeah.
then those kinds of situations don't ever have to come.
Mm-hmm. And then, you know, from experience, because you've had dogs from rescue, some dogs are treated horrifically, and some dogs you get from shelters and you don't know what's happened. So you really need to understand
That's
dogs before you take one on from a shelter,
100%.
because you don't know what trauma they're coming with.
That's it. And it does say, you know, research shows you that it takes at least 3 years for a dog to trust you properly if they've come from
a shelter,
a rescue centre. And Zane had lived with us from he was 9 months old right up until he passed. So that was a good almost 15 years.
Yeah.
And there was still times where you would maybe go to pat him and he would like cower down like that, or times when you opened, I don't know why, but when you opened the freezer drawer, he would run away.
Yeah.
Or the ironing board, if you brought the ironing board out, he would run away. And nothing ever happened to him whilst he was with us. But whatever happened to him before he came to us was so ingrained in his wee mind that despite all the good things that had happened with him, that was still there. So you have to be willing to understand that these dogs have gone through traumatic experiences before they've come to live with you. You have to be patient and kind. You have to do positive reinforcement training. You know, you can't do any of the aversive training methods at all with dogs that have come from these places, because it's just going to damage the dog even further, but it's also going to damage your relationship with them as well. You need to be their safe space.
And then that's a risk of the dog ending up back at the
that's it.
being rehomed.
We are 100% confident that if Zane hadn't been rehomed to us because of what I did for a living, Zane would have been straight back into Dogs Trust, because he was a lot of work. He needed someone that understood him. I mean, I had to go and get myself trained to be able to understand Zane and to be able to live with him, but also to be able to provide him with the life that he deserved. And that, again, came from, it was John at the Glasgow Dog Trainer and Behaviour Centre. John was just invaluable. The advice that he gave me, the first time he looked at me, he went, "It's not the dog, it's you."
Which hits hard.
So I was a bit like, I would get, because Zane could sometimes be quite reactive towards other dogs, and he was never aggressive, he just barked. But because he just barked when he was in Dogs Trust, he had a wee hoarse throat, so it made him sound worse than he actually was. You know, it made him sound like he was this big dog that was going to eat you alive, and reality was he would just have licked you to death. So I had to leave my anxiety at the side so that Zane then knew that everything was safe. So once I was trained on how to handle him, it was a piece of cake training Zane. And we got this beautiful, amazing life with him that he would probably have never have had we not taken the time to understand. And he was brilliant. He was an absolutely amazing dog. Great with the kids, like absolutely fantastic with the kids. And just full of nonsense and cheek. And I always say we were the winners out of that. It was such a privilege to be able to share our lives with them. And the same with Ziggy. I mean, I called him my Mary Poppins dog, practically perfect in every way. We knocked it off when we got him. We don't know much about Ziggy's story. We don't know how he came to be in the shelter. But he was a big goofball, but he was just full of love and fun. A big dependable, and like we were talking about that then, like so intuitive. Like Ziggy just knew if mum wasn't quite right, Ziggy knew. Right up to the end, he knew. And again, we were the lucky ones. You know, he saved me more times than he'll ever know, and I was so grateful to have those opportunities to share our lives with them. So if I can teach other people how to do that for their dogs, then again, you know, I've given something back on behalf of my boys. That's what it's all about. It's all about carrying on the legacy that I started with them. We'll get all emotional now.
Me too. And I think I might get a dog. I'm like, I don't always remember to feed myself. There's not much chance I'm going to remember and feed a dog. So
yeah, don't get a dog.
Don't get a dog. Too much responsibility, and I get to go down to my mum's and have cuddles down there.
That's it. So if you get to have the big sister
and I go up to the park and I say hello to everybody's dog. I'm like, ignore the owner. Hello.
That's it. Yeah. You tend to find that, don't you, that you'll chat to the dogs, and you remember, like Zach and I go walking in the same park pretty much every morning, and I remember the dogs' names, and I'll chat to the dog, and then I kind of look at the owner and I'm like, oh hi, and then just kind of off I go, because I have no interaction with them whatsoever.
Are you the same person that always walks this dog?
I know, that's it. It could be somebody completely different, but my focus is always on the dog.
Is there anything else that you want to share today before we wrap this up?
I think just one of the exciting things that I am creating is a monthly membership for dog owners, where you can join the Dog Witch community, the Dog Witch Magic Circle, where you can meet like-minded dog owners, but you will also get dog-friendly recipes, you'll get ideas for amazing dog days out, and you'll get like holistic dog care hacks, so everything from natural cleaning products right the way through to some sound therapy, things like that. Just all the goodness that you need to live with your dog, but without the expense of like vet visits or expensive like one-to-ones or anything like that, just for like the price of a puppuccino each week. You can join the Dog Witch community, and I'm just really excited about that, because as it grows and it goes on, we're going to start doing like dog meetups, and
that's nice.
Owners will have access to me like on a kind of one-to-one basis as well, because we're going to have a wee WhatsApp community and stuff like that. So just if anybody is interested in joining the Dog Witch community, I would love to have them there.
How do they find out about that?
So it is just about to be launched on the 28th of March, but you'll find out about it on the Dog Witch website, which is thedogwitch.co.uk, and I'm on all your usual platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, as the Dog Witch. Oh yes, we are on YouTube as well. Yes, we're on YouTube. So just search for the Dog Witch and you'll find us.
So I will put all the links into the show notes so that people can find you easily.
Brilliant. Thank you so much,
Lisa.
Thank you for having me.
And remember, like, share, follow, all that stuff. And go and follow everything that Lisa does.